When someone mentions the terms Asperger's syndrome to you, what images and thoughts regarding its patients begin to abound throughout your mind? Perhaps a reserved and introverted teenager, remaining quietly tucked away in the back corner of a classroom. Maybe even a chattermouth that simply never knows when to shut up while being blissfully ignorant to society's social standards. Perhaps, possibly even a deranged school shooter seeking vengeance upon his numerous tormentors. These, along with numerous others, are among the false misconceptions and stereotypes that society holds in regard towards people with Asperger's syndrome. Misconceptions that often encourage fear, bullying, discrimination, and even self-harm and self-hatred, as according to studies conducted by the University of Cambridge. In order to alleviate this endless torrent of malice, I must confront and dispel these false misconceptions that many possess towards Asperger's, and then tackle potential solutions that can aid in the eradication of the legion of issues faced by those with such a simple disorder. Asperger's syndrome is defined as a form of mild autism characterized by high intelligence, difficulty with communication and socializing, and mental and physical clumsiness. It is amongst the most pervasive and self-destructive of all mental disorders currently ravaging people of all races and ages across both the U.S. and the world. According to the Center for Disease Control, more than 3.5 million out of a total of 318.9 million Americans are estimated to live with Asperger's syndrome, or ASD as it is sometimes called, with unusually high rates of 94% reporting of bullying in school and or the workplace, 66% reporting of depression, and 35% reporting of suicide or suicidal thoughts. The disorder is also only increasing, with a staggering 119.4% increase from 2000 to 2010. ASD is equally consistent with all races, cultures, and social classes. However, the disorder is 4.5 times more common within males than females. Although you may be indifferent to these statistics, the plight of ASD patients should be of your concern due to the simple fact that, if the only increasing rates of diagnoses are any indication, that anybody you know, including your friend, your friend's child, or perhaps even your child, could be stricken with the disorder, and thus could be a subject, and thus potential subject of bullying, depression, and even suicide. This suicide can result in the loss of a brilliant and revolutionary mind, of a mind that could change the world. As stated previously, ASD patients are often plagued by a myriad of unwarranted false stereotypes and misconceptions that only serve to perpetuate increased bullying and discrimination against them. According to psychologist Sarah Albert, one misconception many unfamiliar with the disorder possess is that an ASD patient may not even suffer from the disorder or any form of autism, but is rather an individual who exhibits strange and irregular behavior and interests. Oblivious to the potential disorder, due to them not displaying behavior most associate with the rather broad perception of autism. According to the website Age of Autism, another misconception heralded by many, including those who are familiar with the disorder, is that ASD patients are not entitled to special accommodations and privileges due to them not suffering from the same learning, social, and mental setbacks experienced by those with more classical forms of autism. Setbacks that warrant the entitlement of such necessary accommodations. In retort to this first of many misconceptions, the behavior exhibited by those with ASD is in fact consistent with that of numerous forms of autism, primarily the traits of difficulty with socializing and communicating efficiently, repetitious patterns of behavior, sensitivities to various stimuli, and struggles in learning and paying attention. In retort to the second misconception of ASD patients not warranting accommodations for patients, people with Asperger's may not exhibit communication and behavioral control setbacks in the same severity as those with more classic forms of autism, yet they still do regardless experience noticeably detrimental setbacks in communication and learning, which can yield difficulties in school, the workplace, and in socializing with potential friends. According to autism advocacy organization Autism Speaks, the accommodations can alleviate many of these issues and offer patients a more suitable academic experience and environment. These accommodations can include additional testing time, the right to a quiet, private area when testing, and referral to group sessions that aid in the development of social skills and overall confidence. In order to combat these impending bullying and suicide threats looming omnipresently over the heads of those with ASD, the first solution to the first aforementioned misconception is to increase advocacy of the numerous symptoms synonymous with the disorder, enabling those who recognize either their own or others' mental and behavioral patterns as being consistent with those of ASD to refer them to testing and thus a possible diagnosis. This solution may also garner sympathy and understanding towards Asperger patients, potentially resulting in a decrease in bullying and a collective empathy with Aspies. This advocacy can be implemented through various means, including but not limited to social media pages and posts, oral promotion through commercials and major news platforms, and even the implementation of mental health-based classes and services in schools. A second solution is to position official ASD patient testing as being more readily available through the hiring of additional child psychologists at schools in order to properly identify more of the symptoms, the implementation of programs in school to promote symptoms of ASD and of other mental disorders, or reduce financial costs of ASD testing. According to the National Alliance on Mental Illness, a bill rapidly gaining support, including their own entitled the Mental Health in Schools Act, will provide federal funding to schools to train staff on mental health issues and to establish mental health-based services. As such, if one observes their own symptoms or the symptoms of friends or family and suspects they may be applicable, partaking in testing can yield an official diagnosis and thus the availability of accommodations, as well as access to a more coherent and complete understanding of the disorder. As we begin to approach the end of this talk, I ask that you remember with precision and passion all that has been discussed, primarily the millions of ASD patients diagnosed, the troubling levels of bullying and suicide experienced, the misconceptions of ASD patients as entitled and actively strange, and how offensively incorrect all of these are. Remember my proposed solutions and ponder over how to continue to build and improve upon them, but most importantly, remember how this disorder can potentially affect you or someone you love. Please allow this vast collective of information to guide you through both concern and inspiration towards the forging of a more hospitable future for all with Asperger's, one free of stereotypes and misconceptions, one free of bullying and discrimination, and one free of depression and suicide, and instead saturated with an abundance of welcoming arms and minds.